So, hot take, but Anora and the menu are basically the same story. And before you roll your eyes, yes, I am the girl who compared Conclave to The Handmaid's Tale. You're probably thinking, she's doing it again. But listen, this connection's too good not to talk about. You know that scene that just smacks you in the face and suddenly everything clicks? Yeah, both Anora and the menu have that. For me, that moment is when you realize that the women in both films, Annie and Margot, aren't just characters. They're actually perfect mirrors. Mirrors reflecting the ultra rich, the structures of society, and how power reduces desire and femininity to something that can be bought. And here's the kicker: Tyler tells Margot, who we later learn is an escort, to agree with everything he says, keep a smile on, and perform as expected. That's what keeps her alive, apparently. He even tells her not to smoke before they board the boat because it'll ruin her palate.
Okay, the flavor profiles, it's all super delicate. When you smoke, you ruin your ability to be able to appreciate
Come
them. Please.
Like, sir, she's about to be murdered over dinner. I think a cigarette's the least of her worries. But the chef, he sees straight through it. He doesn't just catch the lie, he decides to punish it because there's nothing he hates more than takers.
Be mindful, but do not eat. Our menu is too precious for that.
And that's when it hits you. Margot wasn't invited because she was wanted. She was there because the reservation needed a +1. She's not a guest like everyone else on that island. She is collateral in someone else's little theater of taste and death. Annie, living a whole different life in another city, goes through the same cruel equation. She's a stripper and sex worker who steps into Vanya's glittering world. The mansion, the private jets, the diamonds, even little luxuries like a beach trip on a weekday. She wants it so badly that she starts to believe she belongs there. But the oligarch's family, the Anora version of the chef, makes it clear. The world she dreams of doesn't want her. It was never hers to begin with. And that's the lens I want to look through today. Anora and the menu are about two women who sell intimacy, step into elite worlds, and end up exposing the rot underneath male perfection. Both Annie and Margot, so different on the surface, inhabit worlds where women's bodies, labor, and attention are treated as currency. And both of them have to find a way to survive without losing themselves entirely. So, Annie and Margot's worlds are all about performance. Annie dances for Vanya, setting her boundaries clearly. Pay upfront, consent on her terms, quietly reminding everyone that this is work, not love.
You pay for an hour and there's still like 45 minutes left if you want to go again?
Actually, Nora's connection to Yvonne feels more about access and security than emotional intimacy. Margot, at the other extreme, sits at the table, smiling and tasting, not because she wants to belong, but because she is literally paid to.
That was beautifully put, Tyler.
Stop, don't.
No, I'm being
No.
serious. I think I'm starting to get it.
Really?
Yeah, a little.
Every move is a performance in the world of the ultra-rich, where even eating is part of the show and a display of status. Both women are skilled because they understand that survival is performance. Annie scans the strip club, sizing up clients, the way she waits to ask the right questions, the glances she gives to Vanya. Everything shows she's not naive. She knows exactly what she's doing. Love seems secondary to utility for both of them. Margot, quietly observing the other guests, gives us the same insight. These women aren't clueless. They're constantly reading the room, figuring out the rules of spaces that were never meant for them. And the performance isn't just for them, by the way. It's for the world that insists they must be agreeable, desirable, consumable even. It's the commodification of empathy. They're selling emotional labor in addition to physical labor. And it's not just me saying that. Even Mikey Madison brought it up in the Actress Roundtable.
To be a sex worker, it's not only physically demanding, but it's mentally demanding as well, because you're having to walk up to someone and immediately try to connect with them, try to, in that moment, understand what it is you can offer them.
The way Annie and Margot have to perform, not just with their bodies, but with their presence, their smiles, their reactions. It's all part of the job. They give what the men want, and they're doing it with careful measure and painful awareness, because their survival depends on it. But the luxury plays out differently for each of them. Annie glimpses freedom in Vanya's wealthy lifestyle, and she buys into the fantasy, hoping that love and money might finally be her ticket out. Margot, on the other hand, doesn't fall for any of it. She's not impressed. She's just paid to play the part.
Is he gonna keep doing that?
Bread has existed in some form for over 12,000 years.
So she tries a bite when she has to, just to avoid immediate confrontation, but often refuses or critiques the food, making it clear she won't blindly go along.
Tyler, you're the customer. You're paying him to serve you. Doesn't really matter whether he likes you or not.
You can see Margot keeping her distance, in contrast to Annie, who seems constantly on edge. And yet, the stakes are the same. Annie isn't welcomed because of who she is. The oligarch's family would never even consider her, ashamed of her past as a sex worker, while Margot's body is literally on the menu. The chef is planning to cook everyone.
Think of yourselves as ingredients in a degustation concept.
What?
And Tyler knowingly brought her anyway. What might look like freedom or indulgence for them is really just another set of rules. Their bodies and labor exist entirely to meet the desires of others. And that's why the films work so well together as a pair. The menu literalizes consumption, while Anora enacts it socially. But both indict the same system. Women aren't invited into elite circles to belong. They're invited to validate the men who run them. Both Annie and Margot are cool girls, in the sense that they perform adaptability, agreeableness, and charm. Annie laughs and entertains Vanya's whims, whereas Margot nods, tastes, and mirrors Tyler's opinions, although she later makes it clear that she's only there for the paycheck.
You like this.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
He's basically insulting you.
But anyhow, the cool girl persona is deceptive. Why? Because it's a survival tactic, but it's also a trap, and I'll explain why shortly. Here's the thing. The ultra-rich reward women for being invisible until they're convenient.
You will eat less than you desire and more than you deserve.
Annie thinks she's finally invisible enough to belong. Margot hopes her agreement will protect her, but the universe of both films is designed to punish exactly that behavior. The cool girl becomes too real when she refuses. The cool girl becomes dangerous when she asserts herself. And in both cases, assertion comes in explosive moments. Margot throws herself at Tyler, slapping him hard, furious because he knowingly put her in danger. Annie fights against Toro's crew, gagged and bound, for recognition of her agency. These aren't just acts of defiance, they're acts of resistance and self-preservation. That's why I said it's a trap, because once you're labeled the cool girl, the men around you expect compliance and invisibility on demand.
Anora Mikheva.
Annie. It's Annie.
It says Anora.
I know, but I go by Annie.
And as soon as you step out of the role, you become instantly vulnerable. If Annie and Margot teach us anything, it's how the upper class consumes not just women, but ritual and spectacle. In Anora, everything about Vanya's world is designed to reinforce power.
Do that, and you'll lose everything.
In the menu, the chef's meticulously orchestrated dinner is designed to showcase superiority. Here's where the two films really click for me. They both expose the fragility of that act of pretending. Annie's little bursts of joy, dancing, laughing, just enjoying a moment of freedom, poke holes in Vanya's perfect golden life. Margot does the same thing, but in a quieter way. She won't fake it. She won't perform taste.
When I eat your food, it tastes like it was made with no love.
And suddenly you can see how empty and shallow Tyler and the chef's little universe actually is. In each case, the elite are horrified by women who refuse to be props, because props don't talk back.
So I'm assuming that means you work for him, right? So if he's telling you to take it outside.
And most importantly, they don't challenge the narrative.
You've barely eaten the food. Why? I need to know. Why don't you eat?
Why do you care?
And there's something so cinematic about that horror. The way the women are visually isolated amid luxury. Both Mark Mylod and Sean Baker use space and framing brilliantly to show that these women exist both within and apart from the worlds they move through. The camera always keeps Annie and Margot close enough to see the performance, but never really part of it. They're the only ones who see the truth, while everyone else is too busy admiring the show. Performance keeps them alive, but it doesn't make them any less human. And that's what really hits in those quiet, introspective moments. Those little pauses where it's just them and their thoughts, they remind you she's more than her job, more than what men project onto her. These scenes aren't just pretty shots, they're tiny moments of self-awareness. You can feel both women realizing what it costs to be looked at all the time and choosing, even for a moment, to look back. Both women internalize the brutality of male desire only to reject it.
Tyler, you need to apologize to me right now. You cannot speak to me that way.
Actually, I can, because ding dong, I'm the one who's paying, so maybe shut up and eat.
Philosophically, this is fascinating. Simone de Beauvoir wrote about woman as the other, defined by the gaze of man. Annie and Margot are literalizations of that idea. Everything they do is measured against male expectation. And yet, through reflection, through these small, almost mundane acts, they assert subjectivity. They see themselves clearly, and that clarity is defiance. Which brings us to the endings. Margot asks for a cheeseburger. Annie boards a plane with 10 grand. Both acts are deceptively simple, but radical. Margot's bite is defiance. She refuses artifice, refuses to be a prop. The chef smiles, recognizing genuine appetite.
Now that is a cheeseburger.
And lets her go.
Thank you for dining at Hawthorne.
Annie's flight home is a little quieter, but no less powerful. She abandons the fantasy, leaves the golden cage, and survives. She walks away with something, but not exactly what she wanted. The ring and the money feel more like leftovers. They are proof of the transaction, not of freedom.
And he'll pay you when the bank opens. Go. And thank you.
Both endings speak to a single truth. Freedom is choosing authenticity over performance. Desire and labor are never neutral. They are always transactional. And that's the brilliance of the crossover. Both converge on one idea. Refusing to be consumed is revolutionary. So, what's the takeaway here? In these worlds built on illusion, wealth, and appetite, women like Annie and Margot are constantly negotiating how to stay alive. They perform, they obey, they charm, but the real power isn't in going along with it. It's in knowing when to stop, in choosing where their time, their body, their attention go. The cost of being seen by a society that prizes consumption above empathy is enormous. And both remind us, sometimes the bravest act is the quietest. To stop performing, to ask for a real meal and taste honestly, to get on a plane and simply walk away. Because in a world where everything is staged and everyone is hungry, the woman who refuses to be appetized is the one who truly makes it out. If you made it all the way here, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. It really helps more than you think. I've got more videos like this coming soon, so stick around, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!